The city of Chicago buzzed with the usual Monday morning rush. Horns honked, sidewalks were packed, and one particular man, Daniel Pierce, strode out of his downtown condo, briefcase in hand and a frown cemented on his face. He was a senior executive at a leading financial firm, smart, wealthy, respected, and known for being impatient. Waiting at the curb was Imran, a 52-year-old Pakistani-American taxi driver who had driven cabs for over 2 decades. Humble, soft-spoken, and quietly carrying the burden of his wife's cancer treatment and his son's college tuition. As Daniel stepped into the cab, Imran greeted him warmly. "Good morning, sir." But Daniel didn't respond. He was on his phone, barking orders at someone on a conference call. The cab pulled away, weaving through morning traffic. Inside the cab, Daniel grew increasingly agitated. "Why are we going this way? I said I needed to be there 10 minutes ago," he snapped. Imran stayed calm, explaining gently, "There's construction on the main road. This way is quicker now." But Daniel wasn't hearing it. "You cab drivers are all the same, clueless and lazy," he muttered under his breath. Imran didn't respond. He'd heard worse in his years behind the wheel. He simply kept driving, quietly, his eyes flicking to the rearview mirror, his dignity intact. They reached Daniel's firm. Without a word, Daniel shoved a few bills into the front seat and stormed out. Imran watched him go, then turned his head to check his next ride. His next fare was clear across the city. Just another long day ahead. Daniel's day had been brutal. Meetings, board tensions, and a final confrontation with a rival executive had pushed him over the edge. As he exited the building, walking toward his parked car, he clutched his chest suddenly. A sharp pain radiated down his left arm. He stumbled, then collapsed. People passed by. Some slowed, few stopped. A crowd gathered, but no one acted. Seconds stretched into critical moments. That's when Imran's taxi happened to pull up at the intersection nearby. He noticed the commotion. Then he saw the man. It was the same rude businessman from the morning. Without hesitation, Imran pulled over, jumped out of the car, and rushed to Daniel. "Sir? Sir, can you hear me?" Daniel was unconscious, his face pale, lips bluish. Without waiting, Imran called 911, but the dispatcher said the nearest ambulance was still 12 minutes away. Imran didn't wait. He flagged down a bystander to help him lift Daniel into the back seat of his cab and raced toward St. Michael's Hospital, weaving through traffic with expert control, honking, pleading with other cars to make way, to hear that exchange. But he did. And something about Lena's posture, her quiet dignity as she walked away, struck him hard. "Trevor," he called out. The HR assistant stiffened. "Yes, sir?" "Bring her back," B. Trevor stammered. "Sir, we bring her back." Daniel stepped out, buttoning his coat. He was a man in his 50s, known for business acumen, not social sensitivity. But that moment cracked something open in him. Perhaps it was his daughter's recent experience with bias, or maybe the way his late wife used to remind him, character reveals itself when no one is watching. Lena was halfway down the block when she heard her name. She turned and saw the CEO himself jogging toward her. "Miss Malik," he said, catching his breath. "May I speak with you for a moment?" She nodded cautiously. "I overheard what happened, and I want to personally apologize." She blinked. "I wasn't expecting that. I also want to ask, if you're willing, would you give us another chance? I'd like to conduct your interview myself." Lena hesitated. Her dignity had already been bruised. But something in his voice, the quiet remorse, convinced her. Back in the meeting room, Daniel didn't just ask her about code. He asked her about values, resilience, her projects, her passions. And when the interview ended, he stood up and said, "Miss Malik, if you'll accept it, the job is yours." The next day, an internal memo was circulated. Subject: Hiring Policy Update. Diversity, Inclusion, and Accountability. Daniel made sweeping changes. Bias sensitivity training became mandatory. The HR department was restructured. And Trevor? He was reassigned, but not fired. Daniel believed in accountability and transformation. That afternoon, Daniel visited Lena's new cubicle. She stood when he entered. "I owe you one more thing," he said. "The truth." He looked down, then back at her. "When my wife died, she wore a scarf on her head. Chemotherapy. People treated her like she didn't belong in places she'd walked into 100 times. That experience changed me. But clearly, I forgot what I learned. Until yesterday." Lena said nothing, just nodded with quiet understanding. Months passed. Lena didn't just become a software engineer. She became a mentor, a quiet force of nature. She launched an internal diversity council, advised on inclusive UX design, and inspired others simply by being herself, visible and proud. Daniel watched the culture shift not overnight, but steadily. Less whispering, more listening. Less labeling, more asking. And one afternoon, he received a letter from a high school student who had shadowed Lena for a week. It read, "I used to think I couldn't be myself and succeed. Now I know I just needed to find the place where I'm respected." Daniel placed the letter in his drawer right next to his late wife's photo. Respect isn't about comfort. It's about justice. It's not something you give when it's easy. It's something you uphold when it's hard. Lena's story isn't rare, but it should be. Not because it's not powerful, but because no one should have to prove their worth twice just to be seen. This wasn't just about a job. It was about dignity, about choosing courage over silence, and reminding all of us that humanity wears many forms. Respect for all backgrounds is not optional, it's justice.